Hey guys, I hope you are all doing fantastically and have had tons of coffee and tea today. I always wish that for you. I've talked before about some of my very favorite Starbucks drinks, but I've never actually sat down and done a list. But it occurred to me when I was kind of feeling nostalgic about Starbucks, because I haven't had it as much recently, that I've never actually done a video completely dedicated to all of my favorites. So that's what I'm doing today. I used to go a lot more frequently than I have recently, honestly, and a lot of that was because when I was in my undergrad, we had a Starbucks on campus. It was super convenient. And then when I was in the UK, there were one or two really close to my campus, and there was one super close to where I was working in the US. Just basically, they were really, really convenient up until now. That hasn't changed how much I love it though, and I still have it sometimes for special occasions or when I happen upon one. So I thought it would be fun today to make a list of all of my very favorite drinks and share that with you guys. And what I'd love for you guys to do is leave me in the comments either 1, 2, or 10 of your favorite Starbucks drinks. And without further ado and blabbing, here's my list. I put probably my very favorites at the beginning of this list, but they're not really in like an exact order. So I'm just gonna start with kind of the most simple, basic drink that I get, and that is a cafe latte. Now, I have never been a barista in my life, so I'm definitely not an expert at telling you the differences between the different types of drinks and how they make them and all of that. So if you're a barista, please leave me some of your knowledge in the comments below, but I'm just going to attempt, for those of you who may not know, to tell you exactly what a latte is, sort of. Exactly, sort of. It's very scientific. Basically, the difference between the different types of drinks, lattes, cappuccinos, macchiatos, is the order they add stuff and also sometimes kind of the quantities that they add stuff. A latte, to my knowledge, is espresso and steamed milk and foamed milk, and I think they add them in that order. Whereas a macchiato, I think they add the milk first and then the espresso, and I think a cappuccino might have more milk. It's a little bit foamier generally, but I don't really get cappuccinos that often. I always forget the exact distinctions, but I have tried all of them, maybe not at Starbucks, but I've tried them all definitely multiple times in my life, and generally lattes are just what I prefer. But of course, I'd recommend you try all of them just to see what your favorite might be. Another one of my favorites is the coffee frappuccino, and this is sort of like the frappuccino version of the cafe latte. It has no syrup, it has no flavors added to it. I generally get it with non-fat milk, so especially if I'm trying not to splurge too much, this is a good cold drink option. Because it doesn't have any syrup added and there's not really anything there to add a ton of sweetness, it tends to be just a lot stronger feeling to me. You can really taste the coffee, but it's still sweet and it's still really, really good. So especially if you're not really in the mood for anything that tastes like a dessert frappuccino like a lot of the other ones, which are really, really good, but they're definitely a lot harder on the calories, then this is a really good option, and that's also why I love it. Next, we have the caramel latte. This was the very first latte I think I ever got, and it actually is kind of what started me on loving coffee so much, I think. I've tried it hot and I've tried it iced, and I love both kinds. I really can't say which one I like better. When I get an iced beverage, though, I really think the iced caramel latte might be my very favorite cold drink, maybe. But either way, this is a classic for me. This is kind of just where I started, and it's really, really good. Similar to that is the caramel brulee latte, which is kind of just like a step up from the caramel latte, in my opinion. It's a holiday drink, which means that it's not there all year round. It's only there sometime in November, I think, normally through December, January-ish, and then it's gone. But I guess that might be just what makes it so special. I actually don't remember if I've ever tried it iced before. I think I have gotten a caramel brulee frappuccino, and it was good, but there's just something about this drink that I feel like needs to be hot, and maybe just because it's always in winter when I get it, but also maybe just because it's just best that way. Another drink that is near and dear to my heart is the chai tea latte. I discovered this actually a while after I was already really into Starbucks, and I decided to try it. Because it's not coffee, I kind of hesitated before. I think that's why I didn't try it originally. But as soon as I tried it, it became an instant favorite. It took absolutely no time whatsoever for me to fall in love with this drink. It has a really, really fantastic combination of spices, and if you like the pumpkin spice latte, you will definitely love the chai tea year round. I have tried this iced, or maybe it was a frappuccino, I can't remember, but for some reason the spices just didn't, to me, it didn't really fit with a cold drink. I don't know, it just didn't have that magic that I feel like it does as a hot drink. Or maybe that's just me, because I do know people who actually really like it. Next, I just mentioned it, but the pumpkin spice latte has to be on this list. I know it is the most basic and stereotypical and unoriginal thing I could possibly put on this list, but you guys, there is a reason why everyone loves the PSL. Because it is fantastic. It took me a while to try it for some reason. I don't know, I just didn't really get into it, but a few years ago, I went ahead and just took the plunge, I got one, and yeah. The rest is history. I am 100% one of those people who just awaits the PSL every fall and gets it and hashtags it and puts it on Instagram. I'm unashamed. I am that person. Next on the list might be my very, very favorite summer drink, and that's the passion tea lemonade. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's the really, really pink drink that you see people getting in the summer. You can get a passion tea or a passion tea lemonade. The passion tea lemonade is sweeter because it has lemonade, but you can get either of those without sugar added or with half sugar added. Sometimes I'll get it without sugar and then I'll add like some sweet and low packets or something, but it can be very, very sweet or not so sweet, just depending on how you order it and how you like it. It's always pink though, so. I also love caramel frappuccinos. I know it's shocking how much I've talked about caramel on this list. You had no idea what was coming. Again, if you're not going for something sweeter, definitely avoid any of the syruped frappuccinos, especially if you get the whipped cream. Although you can get it without, and it's still really, really good. But if I'm really craving a splurge and I want something that's a little bit more, I mean, not a milkshake, but it's getting a little closer to a milkshake, then I will definitely opt for a caramel frappuccino, and I will not get non-fat milk. I'm gonna go all out with the full fat milk and the whipped cream. It's not like a Java chip frappuccino or anything, but it's still a really good kick of sweetness. Another one that I sometimes get is the Oprah Cinnamon Chai Tea Latte, and I don't think it was a temporary drink. I think this is like a permanent menu edition. It took me a little bit to try this one just because it just sounds like a chai tea latte with a little cinnamon in it, and then they just up the price. But actually this drink is pretty good. I'm not gonna say it's one of my absolute favorites just because I don't necessarily, I mean, when I'm in the mood for a chai tea, I'm totally good with a regular chai tea latte. It's like one of my favorite drinks, and you don't taste a huge, huge difference, in my opinion, between the regular chai and the cinnamon chai. But at the same time, it is a really good drink, and if you don't really like the chai tea latte, or if you think it's kind of lacking something, this might be your drink. So because I love chai tea so much and I love cinnamon so much, I kind of just felt like I really needed to put this one on the list anyway. And then to round out this list, sometimes instead of a fancy drink, I will just want a coffee, so I'll just get like a regular roast that they have there. The options will vary based on the day and based on what they have available, but generally I tend to prefer a blonde roast or a medium roast when I get it from Starbucks. My favorite beans are actually probably the dark roast, but the thing is, Starbucks brews their coffee very, very strong. This is a common complaint that people have against Starbucks, and it's often the reason people say they don't like it is because their coffee is so strong. But I do kind of have to agree a little bit about the strong coffee. I love coffee, I'm a big coffee person, but if you brew it super, 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 super strong, I find that it's almost like it's burning my taste buds off, and I can't really appreciate the taste of the coffee. So generally, if I'm going to get it there, I prefer their lighter roast just because I feel like it has a little more flavor. On the other hand, they also sell their beans there that you can actually buy there and then take home, and my favorite roast there is the espresso roast, which is the darkest roast. It's the strongest roast, I believe, but it's definitely not a blonde or a medium roast. It's a very, very dark roast, but when I take it home, I can actually choose my quantity a little more precisely, and I can brew it how I really like it, and that's, oh, it's so good. Anyway, there are my top 10 Starbucks drinks in no real order because I can't really choose. It all just depends on my mood. Let me know in the comments what your favorite Starbucks drinks are, and definitely like this video if you're a Starbucks fan, and share it with a Starbucks fan if you feel like it. And if you have any barista knowledge, I would love to know it, even if it's just something like completely off the wall fun fact. I've looked up so much of this stuff and read it and sort of memorized it, but obviously not very well because I've forgotten it over the years. But I still love coffee facts, so feel free to leave a bunch of those in the comments below. Thank you guys all so much for watching, as always, and I will see you soon.